Welcome to Building Healthy Relationships, the 4 Habits podcast, helping you enjoy better harmony at home, thrive at work, and win at life. Here are your hosts, Dr. Andrea and Jon Taylor-Cummings, recognized authorities on the subjects of improving work relationships and cultures, as well as couple and home relationships.
Well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome from whatever time zone you are tuning in or checking us out. It's great to have you. As we approach the new year, we decided that we'd do a session together, Jon and I, so that we can talk about one of the things that's, I suppose, reflection time this time of year, the topic of reflection this time of year, thinking about and looking at careers. And what we realized through the conversations that we've had, the workshops that we've done is, I think it's fair to say that in the past, a lot of people, most of us assumed that we kind of had a laid back approach to career progression. Is that fair, Jon?
I think that's absolutely fair. And well, in our experience, I guess a lot of people have a laid back approach to many things, the relationships included. And our take is really intentionality is such an important word in all spheres, and around your career and making things happen. Yeah, absolutely. Intentionality is key. Well, I guess at this time of year, it is, pardon me, it is getting ready for the new year, just when we're recording. I don't know when you're going to be listening to this, but at this time of year, most people start thinking, well, maybe a couple of weeks early, but by the time this recording is out, people will be starting to think about what are their goals, ambitions. Some people package it as New Year's resolutions, all that good stuff. But actually, what does a new year look like? It's a time for a reset. Not quite control alt delete, but time for a reset. People start thinking about the future. So we thought, yeah, great opportunity to give you some stuff to think about in terms of career growth, career development, what next in that chapter of life.
Yeah, and this is a really important conversation now, because whereas in the past, maybe there were clear career paths, you'd expect your manager would promote you and the system would take care of progression. I don't think that was ever really the case. But now that we have a much more hybrid approach to work, working from home inevitably will reduce some visibility, and you need to be really on purpose about being seen, understanding what the promotion opportunities are and where to find them, understanding how you'll be mentored and how your skills development, whatever training or whatever on the job experience you need. Now you need to be that much more intentional to make use of the time that you're in the office, or while you're working from home, to still be on purpose about career progression. And I guess the best way to think about it is to, as you said, Jon, with intentionality, be intentional about finding the sweet spot in the intersection of 3 key things. I love to talk about the intersection of what it is that the organization needs you to deliver in your role. Yep. So what they're hiring you and paying you for, what the industry values in terms of experience and qualifications in your particular career in order to progress, in order to, go up the pay scale, for whatever the industry values and will pay you more for, not just the company, but, if you're an accountant, what professional qualifications you would need, and so on. And the third thing is what gives you meaning and purpose. What's the thing that lights you up and gets you out of bed? And the more we can find the role that meets those 3 needs, that's right in the center of that Venn diagram, so to speak, that's where genuine motivation and enthusiasm and, being able to play full on in the workplace comes in. What thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, in fairness, where many people will in the past have been thinking about goals and resolutions and ambitions for the year ahead, a lot of people might just think about that third category there of meaning and purpose.
Yeah.
And tend not necessarily to think about, what does the organization need for you to deliver in a particular role? What does growth look like in that space? And if they do, maybe they have that conversation with their line manager at the end of the year or what have you. But it's something to be on purpose about thinking about in those three categories. And the third category, I think, or the second category in the order that you mentioned them, of, what is the industry value in terms of the experience you have, the qualifications? What does progress and growth look like maybe outside of your particular current job,
Indeed,
in the industry that you're working in? And in a world of AI, what does that mean for the future? Who knows where this could go? What does the next role look like for you? These are things you need to be thinking about and being on purpose about, because the times they are changing,
That's
and
a, I was
as
going
we
to
said,
say
we
that's
just need to
such
be
a
on
good.
purpose about that. Go on, you say something.
I was going to say that's such a good shout, because AI comes with it. There are two parts to that AI conversation. One is, what's the risk of the role that you're doing, in terms of what AI can replace. A lot of the writing jobs, creative jobs, you might need to rethink the value that you add over and above what AI is now able to do. But the other part of that is, what AI skills do you need to develop to be able to be even better at your job?
Yeah.
Because AI can help do, as we found, can help do a lot of the heavy lifting of the more administrative tasks, so that you're freed up to bring the best of what you have to offer in your skill set. You're really able to focus on the things that, the creativity that humans can bring in a way that AI can't bring, at least not yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's still a case, I think, others might disagree. I think it's still a case of garbage in, garbage out. You have to put quality stuff in to get quality stuff out. But the level of quality that we put in has to be much higher, because AI is pretty slick.
Absolutely. And just to add some flesh, some flesh on those bones, I was listening to a guy talking the other day about some of the AI stats, and absolutely AI will lose a whole lot of jobs, current jobs as they exist. Can't remember the exact numbers. It was something like 83 million jobs will go as a result of AI.
Wow.
But that's not the end of the story. 69, if I'm not mistaken, I think the number was 69 million jobs will be created, new jobs that don't
Okay.
exist as a result of AI. So yes, there's a deficit of 14 million jobs. So it's a whole lot of jobs that won't be there anymore. But you want to be part of that 69, if anything, and not part of the old 83 million, if those numbers are right. I think it was something, numbers from the World Economic Forum.
Right.
But the other number, which I think was also interesting, was that I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was a McKinsey stat, which said something ballpark. I can't remember the numbers. It was in the hundreds. It was 280,000 jobs or something like that will be changed as a result in this, or people having to change careers and do things differently as a result of AI. So the impact is out there. I think we all need to be thinking about, how does this impact our role? What do we need to be doing differently? We can't be sitting back just saying, yeah, take it as it comes. I mean, I certainly have, well, both of us, to be fair, have our eyes have been opened to the possibilities of what can be done with AI, just in the work that we do in terms of understanding, the ability to be able to train AI to help you in things, setting up different assistants to help you with crafting messaging in a particular way, understanding your style, and then delivering things back, serving them back up to you in the style that you're used to delivering them. It's just, when I sat in on this presentation, I couldn't stop saying, wow, because I'd used AI basically for, 6 months, 9 months, and thought, yeah, I think I've got it. There is just so much power out there when you actually understand it. And as you rightly say, it's not new news and new stuff it's coming up with. AI is just serving back to us stuff that we have already given to it, but it's just serving it back at such a fantastic speed, and it's a speed that makes the difference. So it's not telling us new stuff, but it's just serving up, it's accumulating everything and just saying, here it is, much quicker, back at you. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that'll help me think and craft my thoughts around it. So really powerful stuff.
And it definitely helps with research and keeping us at the sharp end of best practice. But and it's good that we have in the AI conversation, even though we hadn't quite planned to go there. But it's really relevant to this conversation about careers, because AI is changing the way that we work. And to figure out where you're going next in your career, we
Absolutely.
definitely need to figure out the impact AI will have on the career, and whether or not we need to change direction so that the value we add is distinct and people will pay for the value that we're adding. but also to embrace it and see how it can help us amp up in our abilities to deliver. Certainly it helps us stay at the sharp end of research and best practice, but there is no shortcut for applying your own brain, your own critical thinking. And of course, just double checking that what AI is telling you is actually fact, because there's a whole lot of stuff out there to be brought into the mix when, the suggestions come back at you through technology. And just to say as well, it feels like such a dramatic change that we've never been through before, but we've been here before. It was the same radical shift in the way we work when computers and the internet were birthed. Desktop computers and the internet came onto the scene in the late 80s and early 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
Jobs changed, the way we work changed, the way we lived and connected changed. And this is just the next iteration of that. So
and I was going to say, go back even before that, to the Industrial Revolution. These are all significant changes that we've had in the way that we work, and we have to think about them and respond. These are big waves that are happening, and no individual is going to stand in the way and say, you know what, I'm an island. I'm gonna push this back. It's not going to happen. It's happening. We just need to be ready for it. Think about the impact on our careers. Think about what we can be doing, and be on purpose about moving forward. So really what we need to do is find a way to just focus on the future. And you see what I did there? Find a way to focus on the future, because
I like that.
there's a model we want to share with you guys, which really is, we call it the focus model, but it really will help you be on purpose about the career, the growth, the development that you want, regardless of what's happening around you. I say regardless, mindful of what's happening around you, within the context of what's happening around you, being on purpose about how you can move yourself forward. Why don't you start us on that journey of focus?
Yeah, so it's an acrostic where each letter means something. So the F is for follow the path.
Yeah.
And this is one presuming that there is a path. When we say a path, we mean what's the career path on offer at your organization. So many of us are working in portfolio careers or working freelance. There might not be a path, but what's the general trajectory of your skills in terms of the career, how you can develop, how you can increase in value, get paid more, have more authority and influence. And so the first place to start is, what is expected of the role that I'm in now? How am I going to be measured on it? What do I need to deliver? What are the things that really matter to the organization, so that you get really good at those things? Because just doing your job okay is what you're paid for. Doing the job well, excelling and delivering more shows that you are ready for the next promotion. So, but before you can deliver above and beyond what you're called to deliver, you need to be delivering what you're expected to deliver and doing that well. A lot of people, certain personality types that we've spoken about before, can fall foul of being the nice person, the team player who is willing to do everything, pick up all the extra tasks, help with non-essential admin or organizing the team social. And, you can be really busy doing good stuff that make people feel great.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, when you have to check what you've been busy doing against what the organization needs you to deliver, if you're not delivering on those in any outstanding way, you will be bypassed for promotion. That's the tough message. So volunteering is great, but focusing on the essential work that matters to the organization, that you're going to be measured against, and gaining the experience that you need to be promoted to the next position is really important. So when we say following the path, it means knowing what you need to deliver and excelling in that role now, and knowing what the next level of promotion requires in terms of experience, so that you can be building that, and having line of sight in general of how you want to progress your career, where you want to end up, and the different steps and promotion positions that will help you get there, either in that organization or through your experience as a freelance or a portfolio manager, through lots of different project experiences. Gain the experience that you need to be valued by the marketplace, to be promoted, and increase in pay or charge rates and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. So follow that path. And then the O really picks up on that and actually just makes it practical, because the O is about owning it, own the career. And I think from conversations I've been having with the next generation, so whether it's Gen Z or Gen Z, they have less of an issue owning things. I remember I was talking to a young one of my nephews the other day, and it was something he had done that he wasn't particularly proud of, but he's like, "Yeah, I'm owning that." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Just this whole concept of owning it was interesting, but it's about being. I guess when we talk about owning things here, we're saying, I'm actually going to do something about it. And in this context, what he was saying is, yeah, I get that's where I am. I'm actually, yeah, I'm owning that. I'm going to do something about it. So thinking about being on purpose, about being able to follow that path, think about what are the promotion opportunities that are out there. Don't be sitting there necessarily waiting for them to come to you, but be thinking, what are the opportunities? How can I hunt them down? How can I make them happen almost? Of course, some things will be out of your control, but at least if you're presenting yourself or putting yourself in the right way, not in an annoying way or in a out of order way, shall we say, but being ready and presenting yourself, thinking about the skills, the experience that you need to be able to demonstrate, for example, to get that promotion. So that when you're having that conversation with your boss, line manager, whoever it happens to be, who might have more power or control over the promotion, you're able to demonstrate the evidence to say, well, actually, that's what this opportunity needs. This is how I can demonstrate that, yeah, I've got those skills. I've had this experience. I've had the skills. I'm ready. Rather than sitting back and waiting for them to say, well, I want you to develop these skills before you then go forward for the promotion. If you can be thinking, well, the next role needs these skills. I've had a look at that role. I've had a peep and an insight into what it takes. I've started developing those skills. I think I'm ready. That's one way to say, look, I'm actually owning this. And sometimes there may be in organizations situations where it might feel a little bit like dead man's shoes or dead woman's shoes, where actually there's nothing to be done because there's somebody already in that role and I can't have that promotion until somebody else moves on. So where else can you be developing skills that could help you in that next phase? And you could get some of those skills through maybe volunteering, doing things, whether it's lots and lots of organizations have employee networks. If they don't, maybe there's one particular issue that's burning on your heart. Maybe you can set up an employee network in that space to help support other people, or some sort of volunteering opportunity. It could be charitable work that you do, ESG stuff, or corporate social outreach stuff, CSR stuff that organizations are doing. There's something else you could be doing that would help you develop skills outside of your role that would still help you set you up right for that next role, that next opportunity when the time is right. So think about what else you can be doing to own it. And I guess one other thing to mention in this space as well is using language from what's his name now, Stephen Covey, and his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where he says, begin with the end in mind. What does the end look like for you? So if you are in corporate and one day somewhere, somehow you hope to be top of the pile, in terms of chief executive or C-suite, or somewhere in the C-suite, whether it's one of the C's, depending on what your focus is and your ambition and your drive. What are the functional experiences that you will need to get there?
Yeah,
it could be you need to understand the business better. You're currently in a tech role, but you need to understand a bit more about sales or marketing or finance or something else in the business or products or whatever it happens to be. How can you get exposure to some of those key things that really no other CEO or no other CFO or no other chief marketing officer or whatever they happen to be has had that kind of a role without this background? These are fundamentals. They need to understand the business. What else can you be doing to build your understanding in that space, so that when you put your hand or your hat in the ring for that promotion, ultimately you can be able to take back to the evidence, as I said earlier, to be able to say, yeah, I've got those skills, I've got that experience, I'm ready. So own it, own your career is the O.
Yeah, that's such really important messages in all that you just said, John, for being prepared for performance review conversations, owning it when you go in rather than waiting just to hear the feedback, being very on purpose about any experiences that you would like the help to be directed towards, or any trainings that you want to be on purpose about getting, just going in and owning it. And just to add one thought to that, in getting the promotion or in applying for promotion, the stats show that there's a gender difference, isn't there? There are in
Good point.
general, and of course it's only 80%. You'll have people who defy the odds and match the other gender, but in general, men are happy to apply for positions if maybe they only match 60% of the criteria, whereas women tend to hold back and only apply if they're 80 or 90% certain that they're matching the criteria. And we're saying be on purpose about the skills that you have, the experience you have, but also about putting the application in, even if you don't tick all the boxes. And I'm saying this to the female minds out there. And that leads us neatly onto the C, which is about connecting with others, because for women in general, having people in your corner who can champion you, tap you on the shoulder, say, I really think you're good at this. I have your back, go for this position. I think that's really helpful. So what we mean by connect with others is be intentional about who's in your team. We like to talk about going slow to go fast, which is slowing down sometimes to spend time to connect with people, to get to know them one-on-one, and not just talking work stuff all the time. When you're in the office, and this is the intentionality is even more important in the hybrid world. Be clear about who you want to connect with, who you want in your network, who you want to know, and who you want to get to know you. And when you're in the office, make time, have a coffee, go to lunch, slow down to have better conversations with people around you so that you build proper networks and, get to meet people face to face. There's I can't remember the authors, two women who wrote this book about your personal boardroom thing. They have a consultancy now. And it's really talking about being clear on who are the people in your life who are advisors, who are the mentors that you can turn to, who are the coaches who would help you really up your game in business.
It's worth, I'm just saying it might be worth just clarifying some of those three there, because a lot of people think, yeah, it's all the same thing. As long as I can have a sage, somebody who sits above me and can kind of help me along, then that's all I need. What do you mean by advisors, mentors, and coaches?
So advisors really answer your questions. They have industry insight and industry connection. They can point you in the right direction. I think it's the difference between mentors and coaches. And there's a saying that coaches have questions for your answers, and mentors have answers for your questions, something like that. But anyway, a coach will help you progress in your career. They'll challenge you, they'll ask you questions, they'll get you thinking more widely to help you grow and build. A mentor tends to be a wiser sage who's probably wild as well, who has kind of been there, done that, and can support you and guide you based on their experience. And it's usually not just specifics about work, but life experience, things like work-life balance. Sometimes they overlap. Oh, and then there's the sponsor that we don't have on here.
We'll come back. Just before you jump onto the sponsor, I just want to think what came to me as you were speaking there is actually, I always love going back to sporting analogies in this context. I think a lot of people get it there. What does a sports coach look like? If you think some of the best players in any sport in the world, whether it's athletics, whether it's tennis, whether it's football, whatever it happens to be, they all have coaches. And sometimes the coach has kind of been there and done that before. Sometimes not. I mean, if you think, let's go to individual sports. If you take some of the top players, take Federer or Nadal or somebody like that, who will be top of their game, a lot better tennis player than their coaches. But the coach is much better at asking questions and challenging them and saying, actually, why did you do that? When you do that, it does this. Why do you're asking them, checking in on them. That's the coach's role. Whereas if you think of a for them, what does a mentor look like? Well, a mentor might be somebody else who has achieved some of this greatness in the past and can talk to them about the pressures of the media or conversations you're having there, or your personal life, all that kind of stuff. They've kind of been there. They've got the T-shirt.
Yeah.
That's the difference between the two there. One is more
Yeah.
about your performance and challenging you on that, and one is sort of giving you wise advice around, well, in this situation, you might want to think about this, and this is what I did when I was in that space. That's
Yeah.
what I see as a sort of subtle difference between the two, although they're quite different roles.
Yeah. And then the sponsor
Yeah.
is the line we like to use is the sponsor is somebody who can talk about you when you're not in the room.
Yeah.
They're the ones who will have the network and the connections, and they can say, oh, remember John, when we're thinking about this new position, this new role, John has experience in X, Y, and Z, and he'd be brilliant for this. So the sponsor is the one who can really help put the word in for you to promote your career.
The door opener, think of it like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we need all of them. We need a mix of them, and we need different ones at different stages of our lives. And some companies have like a spreadsheet or a website where you can go and check out mentors or coaches who are available, and have the conversation with them and see if there's a mutual connection, a mutual interest in doing that. But even if the organization doesn't offer it, this is something that you can be on purpose about doing. And I have to say, I'm really inspired by our son's approach. He is still at university. I say to him, when I grow up, I'm going to be as focused and as diligent as he is. But he, on purpose, he is passionate about sustainability and what's the other word? Finance. What does it say?
Nature finance.
Nature finance. That's right. And so he has gone on to LinkedIn. He has looked for the key players in that industry. He sent messages to connect with them. He has gone to conferences and actually ended up meeting some of these people face to face. And before he's even on the job market, he's already connected with all the top players in sustainability, in nature finance, the movers and shakers in that world. And that's just by being intentional about where you're going and who you want to meet and who you want to know knows you and watches your progress. So that's what we mean about connecting with others, especially with hybrid. It's so easy to disappear from the scene while we work from home, but we need to be intentional about our network and who is in our boardroom of advisors, mentors, coaches, and sponsors.
Absolutely. So follow the path, own your career, connect with others, and the U stands for upskill and upskill consistently. There are lots of moving parts here. Many people tend to think about or just think about the skill that they need for their role, to do the job, the hard skill. What is it that I need to do in this job? And absolutely, you need to think about that. But as Andrea was saying earlier, think about that within the context of your job, but think about that also within the context of the industry. So there's a wider context to think about here from a skill perspective. The hard skills for today, the hard skills for tomorrow, as we've had the conversation already about AI coming into the mix. What are the skills I'm going to need for the future? So absolutely think about that, but also think about your personal skills, your emotional intelligence, your ability to get on with the people around you. If you are having challenges with your colleagues, if you're having challenges with your boss or your boss's boss or other people in the organization, or with your suppliers, your stakeholders and the other stakeholders in the in the environment that you're working in, and you can't figure those out, that's going to hold you back. You need to build your emotional intelligence. We can't always assume that the challenges that we have with getting on with the people around us are their fault. We've got to take responsibility for our bit, even if it's a small part of it. Sometimes the way that you're coming across, the way that you're doing things, is landing badly in other people's emotional bank accounts. We've spoken about that before, but if you're landing badly with people who are coming across negatively, then you really shouldn't be surprised when people react negatively to you. So you've got to start thinking about how are you getting on well with the people around you, build your emotional intelligence, build your self-awareness, build your other awareness, and try and be on purpose about getting on well. Develop those, what they call the human skills. They used to be called the soft skills. Who was it? Simon Sinek says, there's nothing soft or easy about these skills. These are really hard skills to learn, but they can be learned. That's the good news. A lot of the work that we do is about helping people develop those human skills to get on better with the people around you. So if that's something that you're finding as a challenge, and you've got to be open and honest with yourself, that might be something that you want to invest in, improve the quality of your ability to get on well with the people around you. And actually, in our experience, what we find is we love it actually when we're sharing some of these skills in a corporate setting, and people, you see the light bulbs going on, people going, hang on, I can take this stuff home. I can use stuff with my partner, with my kids, with my in-laws. This stuff is really good. So developing those skills, really important. So that, yes, the hard skills, but the soft skills, but also life skills. What else is there? What other skills could you possibly benefit from in your future career? And I always remember back to a former colleague of mine who went on to be CEO in an organization, and him sharing how, in fact, there are a couple of people who shared very similar stories, but this one guy anyway sharing how in his role as CEO, clearly he has to do a lot of public speaking. And thinking back to his early days as a child, really, in school, I think as a teenager, he was terrified of anything that looked or smelt like public speaking. But he knew that he had this ambition. He was very ambitious, and he knew one day he wanted to be in a CEO kind of a role. So he's like, what do I need to do? I need to develop speaking skills. How can I do that? He looked around himself. He said, hang on, drama. All these guys on stage do a lot of public speaking. Maybe what I need to do is put myself into the drama society. So he joined the drama society, found himself on, into performances. And he said literally he would go to the point where he was, before he'd go on stage, sometimes he'd be physically sick. He was that troubled by it, but he'd still go be sick and come back and push himself and get out there on stage. And the more he did it, the more comfortable he got, to the point where he was now able to quite comfortably get up on stage. Yeah, a couple of nerves, a couple of butterflies, but get up on stage and deliver a speech. He might know about the butterflies. Nobody else knew anything about it. By exercising or building that muscle, he'd been able to overcome that. He developed that skill. So think about the skills that you need for where you want your career to get to, whether it's public speaking, whether it's presentation, whether it's hosting events, whether it's facilitating a talk, a fireside chat, facilitating a panel. These are skills that are really helpful in future roles. What do you need to have those skills? These things don't just happen. For some people, it looks like they happen a little bit more easily than for others. Everybody has to kind of practice and develop that muscle to get really good at it. So think about what are the things that you can be doing, the skills that you will need in all these different areas, and build that muscle, develop those habits, get that practice in, so that you're then able to perform perform well when the opportunity comes. So think about upskilling consistently.
Yeah, very well said. And those two skills, building your ability to do relationships well and building your presentation skills, will serve you for all of
Absolutely.
life. So much of what we do, everything that we do, really depends on the quality of the relationships that we're able to build. So that will always be, especially, we're very biased in our focus, but that will always be the number one thing that we say to everybody. And that leads us on to staying on brand, because one of the things, at the end of the day, people don't want hassle. They don't want to be working with somebody who they know is just going to be very difficult relationally.
Yeah.
And if you're known to be the person who works at relationships and has the skills to work through challenges in relationships, you'll be the one that they'll say, let's have so and so on the project. So it will always serve you. And when we talk about staying on brand, it's what's your brand? What is it that people will say about you when they describe you? What do you want them to say about you when they mention your name, especially if you're not there? And one of another acrostic that we like to use, we always encourage for all of us, everybody, to be on purpose about having your radar on. And by radar, we mean be reliable, meaning if you say you're going to do something, you do it. Be accountable, meaning you take responsibility for both the successes and the failures. Be disciplined, because not everything in the job is going to be stuff you enjoy doing. There's some things you just have to do because they need to be done. So it's that's where discipline comes in. Be ambitious. So not just always settling with stuff in the status quo, but being more innovative, more forward thinking, just ambitious about where you're going next. And be resilient, because there's just so much change and uncertainty and anxiety. We need emotional resilience, financial resilience, mental resilience, physical resilience. So it's our radar is reliable, accountable, disciplined, ambitious, and resilient. That's something you want to be part of the description of who you are and what you're known for.
I was just going to say, if I could jump in for a second there. Those are all things that nobody has a problem with.
Yeah.
If your brand says and demonstrates those 5 things there, to do some quick math there, if your brand demonstrates those 5 things, nobody has a problem with that. People like that. That's what people like, especially in a work setting. You're reliable, accountable, disciplined, ambitious, resilient. People like having people like that around them. You will like having people like that around you. So think about that and actually think, are there things that you might be doing that don't tick any of those boxes? If so, you might want to be working on those things in particular. If it's your discipline or your ambition or your resilience or your reliability or accountability, be honest with yourself. What can you be doing to fix that? Because that's really important for people looking at you and thinking, yeah, you know what? I'm going to give John a chance. I'm going to give Andrea a chance, because they can think in their mind, they maybe they've just like that arrived at that conclusion, but they've thought about not necessarily those 5 different things, but somewhere in their mind they've computed that actually, yeah, this is a good person because they're ticking all those boxes for me. So be on purpose about that. Sorry, I jumped in on that. Bit of a hobby horse, that one.
No, it's all right. The other 2 things would be to manage your reputation of you, especially on social media. These days, everything gets posted, we're sharing all about our lives, which is great. But it also means that when people want to check you out, they'll be checking out what you did on the weekend, how you behaved, how you looked, the things that you support, the things that you are against. So just be clear about the brand of you and the reputation that you want to create in how you handle your life in the real world, as well as the you that you portray on social media. And the final thing to think about as we wrap up is just being authentic, which means sometimes finding your voice. Some of us don't know our own voice. What are the things that we are passionate about, that we believe in, that we want to dedicate our energy and resources to outside of work? But find the thing that moves you. I always say, God is gracious in that there are different things that moves each of us, and some things that move you won't move me, and vice versa. But if we each stay passionate and involved and engage with the things that move us, together we'll address all the concerns in the world. So find your voice, find the thing that moves you, and use it for issues that you care about, on the job and off the job. Speak up for the things that matter. So together we'll create a more just, a more caring society for everybody involved.
Yeah.
So that I was just going to say, that's our wrap up on things to think about in terms of focusing in on your career and how you want to move it forward next year. And we'd love to hear from you in the chat which of the elements of focus, or if anything that we've discussed, which of them has really landed with you that you're going to be focusing more on or acting on following discussion. But John, you were going to say.
No, yeah, well, just the one point to pick up on that last day on brand was just thinking about who is the you that you would like to be, and then be on purpose about that, about showing that, demonstrating that to the people out there. But you make a great point. Let anybody, if you have any thoughts out there, anybody has any thoughts, put them in the comment section. Any questions you have, put them in there. This has been a great reminder for us to just be on purpose about what we want to be doing in 2025 as we head into the new year now. We always take the opportunity at the beginning of the year to think about our goals and drivers, and what else we want to be achieving on all the different fronts, whether it's personal, relational, spiritual, financial, all the different things we want to be doing, what's the impact we're having. So yeah, great reminder to us as well. And we hope it'll serve you. You can use this to spend some time just being on purpose about, okay, what do I want to do for this year ahead? Whenever you're listening to this, it could be there's still a year ahead of you. Whenever you're listening to this, be on purpose about growing your career. Be focused. Use that acronym or acrostic. Use that to be on purpose about moving to the next level. But I think it's a wrap. It's been great having this conversation. As I say, for me, it's a great reminder, but we hope you've been blessed by it as well.
Yeah, great to have the conversation we need to have and take others on the journey with us as well.
There you go.
All right. It's a wrap. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. See you next time.
We hope you enjoyed that episode. And if you did, and you want to hear more, the best thing to do is subscribe. Then you'll never miss an episode. There's a new one every Friday. You can stay connected with us on social media at The 4 Habits for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and to participate in discussions related to the show. We always love to hear from you. And of course, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a review on your preferred platform to allow us to reach more listeners and help people around the globe radically transform the way they do relationships so they too can enjoy better harmony at home, thrive at work, and win at life.